Welcome.
Morning.
Charlotte,
Morning.
Tony, how are we?
Good.
Very good.
First time on the podcast?
Yep.
Not the last time, hopefully.
No. So this is, today it's all things logistics. So for people that are watching or listening that don't know you, ladies first, just introduce yourself, Charlotte.
I'm Charlotte Patrick, and I'm all things to do with the Northamptonshire Logistics Awards.
Tony?
Yep. Similar. Tony Bellott. I've worked in the logistics sector all my life, so it's been a career for me, 40 plus years, and then got involved in the awards through Charlotte, which is where we built that from. But then the logistics sector, just generally, I've always worked in it, which is where my career is today, is actually lecturing in that same sector at the university.
And John Lewis, that's where you spent all of your career?
Yeah, I started off at John Lewis, unloading vehicles on a receiving dock. And that started back in 1977. I hate
During the war.
Everybody's now doing the maths.
I wasn't here then, Tony.
1977, when I was 18. So you can even do the bigger maths. Yeah. I was back, 1977, and I guess worked my way through the business. Worked on both the John Lewis and the Waitrose side. Always on the supply chain, never on selling. I could never be patient to sell. And worked through to the point when I left John Lewis, I was the general manager of the National Distribution Centre Network. So, and it is, not just for John Lewis as a business, but I think businesses generally through things like the online world, the pandemic, all the things, particularly in the last sort of decade, that have changed so much in retail. But of course, then that means there's a huge reliance on supply chain and logistics.
We were talking before how important it is to everyday life. It's such an important part of the national economy, but also local, which we'll come on to shortly. So the Northamptonshire Logistics Awards is now in its 5th year?
I think it's 6th.
6th.
It started in 2016.
Yeah.
In the John Lewis warehouse.
Which is at Grange Park in Northampton.
Grange Park, which is where we're going to launch this year's awards. And it's just grown since then. So I think we're in the 6th. We had a bit of a pause because of the pandemic and paused over for a year. And then last year we had to postpone it for a few months because of the Queen's funeral. So, we're looking forward to getting back on with the next one.
So take us back to 2015 when it was a bit of an idea of yours, because it was very much you two together in terms of, as a result of the Logistics Forum. It took place, and I believe the catering was provided by one of the Indian restaurants in town as well.
It was. The discussion had been had at one of the logistics meetings that we needed something to promote the sector. It's very much a hidden sector in the county. All of the other sectors in the county rely on logistics, such as manufacturing and food and drink, but you didn't see it publicised. So we spoke to a couple of members of the group, and they said it'd be really good to have a logistics awards. So about 6, 7, 8 weeks later, we created the first Northamptonshire Logistics Awards. We decided to do things a little bit differently. We held it in a warehouse because we thought we're a better place to have it. We had Northampton College students involved, and we decided to be a little bit different, and we had curry. So we had a local firm come up and supply curry for our meals. That was the bit that gave me a bit of a nightmare because I'd been told not to burn down the warehouse, and our caterers turned up with what they called catering flames, but were actually naked flames. So I had to go and confiscate the flames because I was getting a bit concerned that I would be responsible for setting on fire the John Lewis warehouse. But that didn't happen. We had a great time. We had just over 100 people there, and people loved it because we were truly celebrating Northamptonshire logistics, those hidden stories of what goes on in the logistics sector and showcasing the breadth, because as Tony and I often say, there's this big myth that people just think logistics is you're driving a HGV, you're working in a warehouse, you're moving boxes, but there's so much more to it.
I think that, just referring back to that first event, as soon as I mentioned it to my boss, I had to get his permission, which is where the Don't Burn the Warehouse came from. But of course, as soon as we mentioned an event in a warehouse, people started using the word rave, and it wasn't a rave. It was a well-planned and well-timed event, wasn't it? And the curry was amazing. I mean, it was all home. It was made fresh.
It's fabulous.
But yeah, I mean, I think the point, really moving on to the point about the awards, it was, we first met, and actually that was in Grange Park as well, the first meeting, wasn't it? And I just asked a simple question. I said, how do we celebrate the success of logistics? And it just very quickly
gathered pace.
From
and if we look now, we got involved with you the year after, and I think if we look forward to now, this year, the most recent awards had 330 people in attendance, something like that.
Full room.
And it is a real celebration for what is a very important sector. The Food and Drink Awards, which is organised by Rachel Mallows, they're very passionate in terms of that sector, which is obviously very closely aligned with the Logistics Awards. And there's over 70,000 people in Northamptonshire that work within the food and drink sector. Yeah. But in the logistics sector, what's the stat?
The stat that we created the awards on the back of is that 1 in 7 were employed in the logistics sector.
1 in 7 people in Northamptonshire.
In Northamptonshire, and that's going back to figures from around 2014.
So it's probably closer to 1 in 6 now, maybe.
It's huge.
Yeah.
And if you look at the businesses that have moved into this county in the last decade, you've got Amazon, Clipper, GXO as they are now. Amazon, and we are at the epicenter here in the UK. Geographically, we're within an hour to 2 hours of half a dozen major airports, links to all the major motorways, north, south, east, and west. And
I think there's another stat there. Northamptonshire you can get to 85% of the
UK's population within about an hour's drive time.
Brilliant.
Which is why we're here. You can reach everywhere.
So let's go back then over these last few years. What's been one of your highlights in terms of winners? Because if we think about your journey in terms of how you started, and you were with one organisation, but there's lots of individuals that have been highlighted in recent years for their dedication to the logistics sector. Jim Wrights, for example, is a great example of that. But is there one particular winner that stands out for either of you, like in terms of a highlight where you think? Yeah,
it's not a fair question, really. But
it's one you got to answer, though, Tony.
For me, I don't know. I mean, I guess when Marissa got the chairman's special award, and that was because she obviously worked for a business which was Encore at the time, but what she had put into and devoted to helping this individual person, and of course the recognition back from that individual person, it was amazing, the reaction. And of course we saw that because we involved your team in actually going along and filming and what have you. So actually, under the premise that we were just filming all the candidates, what she didn't know was that she'd won it. And of course on the night, everyone in the room stood up.
Yeah, it was very emotional. And just for context there, Marissa, who is a little pocket rocket in herself, I think she's great in the world of recruitment, but specialising in logistics, helped an individual who was effectively homeless, and basically helped him through, and within a few weeks got him a room, and I think about 6 months later he got his own flat, and that was a real brilliant. Charlotte, is there a standout one for you?
There's so many, because I love to see the stories behind the individuals. There's so many people that support others in their community. You mentioned Jim Wright. We had Kirsty from Travis Perkins. We've had individuals who helped others within their organisation. It just showcases that logistics is like one big team, I guess, supporting people internally, externally, and seeing people when they don't realise they've won an award. They're pleased to be a finalist, but then on the evening when they go up and collect it, just seeing the look that they've been recognised for what they've done is just, that's the great point.
And Travis Perkins is a real good example there of a huge organisation that Northamptonshire is very much their home in terms of headquarters, etc. But but logistics is a real core part of their business, which maybe other people don't necessarily appreciate. And one thing I remember is Apprentice of the Year, which some people just presume logistics is lorries, etc., and warehouses. And right, yes, there is an element of that. But people also presume that apprentice is 17 and 18-year-olds. And I think that category, I think it might have been 2, maybe 3 years ago, I think the youngest person within that category was like 25, because the apprenticeship program is taken so seriously within the logistics sector. Yeah. You've got people of all in different age range, but also diverse range of job functions as well. Yeah. And that was a bit of a standout moment. Yeah. So this year, entries are now open.
Yes.
Give us an insight to a couple of the categories.
We like to showcase the breadth of the sector. So we have HGV drivers, because nothing would happen without our HGV drivers. We have Temp Agency of the Year, Team of the Year, Logistics Team, small company, big company, showcasing the breadth. Sustainability Environment is back on the awards list as well, along with diversity and inclusion.
Brilliant.
I think that's one of the things I think we have tried to do is, over the years, he's just moved with the times. So we've changed award categories. We thought about the future. We thought about diversity. And I think we can honestly say that the breadth of awards we offer now, it can actually encapsulate every age group across every industry. You know, it can be an individual, it could be a team of people who we acknowledge. So.
And award ceremonies are never really possible without obviously that of the sponsors. Headline sponsor again this year is an organisation that's been with you right from the beginning.
Yeah, MHA McIntyre Hudson. We're great to have Adam and Gemma on board again. It's great to work with them, and they came to the first Logistics Awards when we were in the warehouse, and they've seen us grow. Yeah,
and it's great to see, I think, that alignment when you've got that synergy between a brand linked with the awards, because they see it through, and it's Adam Young's a real good guy, and obviously knows his stuff from a logistical sector perspective as well. So this year they're taking place at the Park Inn.
They are. We're going back to the Park Inn again.
For anybody in the logistics sector that's watching this that hasn't entered before, why should they do it?
Celebrate success. Tell us what you're doing. Tell us what you and your colleagues are doing. There's so many hidden stories out there that we just want to know about them and celebrate them, so we can get the message out about Northamptonshire Logistics. We are the best, and it's the best place to work, locate, and bring your business to.
I think it's we just really appeal to people. Just take a little bit of time, stop, which is what none of us do well. None of us stop, and none of us take the time to think. It's just stop and just take a few minutes to think about, in my business now, whether it's an office or a huge warehouse, I guarantee you there will be someone who deserves a standout opportunity. And the other thing we try to do, because of course we get lots of senior managers, which is great to see at the meetings we have, but this is an opportunity to acknowledge all the boys and girls that do that job on the floor, and to get them nominations, to get them to come along. For some of them, it will be a once in a lifetime opportunity to go to an awards event, and some of them just get so excited about it. It's amazing the reaction that you get from people who probably won't get the opportunity to do that again. So, please come along, have a look at the categories. I would appeal to anyone to say, and actually, not even if you can't think of someone, which I would question, in your own organisation, but you will have come across somebody who's come into your business, somebody who's helped you, somebody who supported you, who is probably worthy of a mention and a nomination. So, please do.
Brilliant. Well, on that note, thank you both. Thank you for everything you've done, because it's fair to say that hundreds of individuals and dozens of businesses have benefited from your hard work and vision of where that first conversation took place in 2015. So well done to you both. We'll put all the details. So if you are listening to this or you're watching this on socials, you will be able to follow the links in the message above and nominate or enter accordingly. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.